The tomb raiding team used an underwater probe vehicle to attach flotation bags around the rust-covered cruise ship. Before long, this century-old ship finally saw the light of day again, and treasure hunter Luke eagerly ventured inside to explore. This was the largest and most luxurious cruise ship of the 1900s, sunk by a German submarine during World War II, taking over 1,000 souls down to the Atlantic seabed with it. After more than a century submerged in seawater, although the ship is heavily corroded and damaged, the grandeur of its past can still be seen in its architectural decorations. Following the route, they located the VIP safe room, and Luke identified one specific waterproof safe among numerous others, containing a chest of valuable gold and silver. Yet they looked right past it, showing interest only in an oil paper-wrapped painting. Just then, a helicopter not belonging to the Coast Guard rapidly approached them, and Luke's companion outside tried to warn him but found the signals jammed. Several fully armed individuals rappelled down onto the massive ship, and just as Luke and his sister Charlotte prepared to leave with the painting, they encountered 3 of these armed personnel. Both sides were after the same painting, and having invested so much manpower, resources, and money, Luke wasn't about to hand it over easily. The siblings fought back fiercely.
Are you really gonna make me put a gun to your sister's head?
By this time, the flotation bags were gradually failing, and any further delay meant the ship would quickly sink back to the ocean floor, trapping and dooming everyone aboard. Realizing her brother would never give up the painting for her, Charlotte seized the opportunity, broke free from the woman's grip, and knocked her into the sea with a sharp elbow strike. The siblings immediately fled with the painting, but before they could escape, a huge wave slammed them back onto the ship. They fell into the water. Charlotte managed to grab onto an iron door nearby, but Luke got his foot tangled in a net. The ship was sinking faster and faster, threatening Luke's life at any moment, forcing Charlotte to dive down to help him break free. Ultimately, they escaped with the painting unharmed, and their companions rescued them, though the fate of the woman remained unknown. Charlotte, however, was furious with Luke for not helping her earlier.
She wasn't gonna kill you. Because if she killed you, she still wouldn't have the painting. I had the painting.
Well, that was a hell of a risk to take with my life.
It was a calculation. It wasn't a risk.
They went to such great lengths not for the painting's monetary value, but for the legendary Fountain of Youth. Their operation was financially backed by a super-rich man named Owen. Although Owen is a billionaire, he is tragically young and terminally ill, with very little time left. Legend says the Fountain of Youth grants agelessness and deathlessness. A single sip ensures eternal youth. In the 17th century, 6 artists supposedly hid the secret to finding the Fountain of Youth within their paintings. Caravaggio's The Taking of Christ, Rubens's The Descent from the Cross, Wilden's Christ on the Road to Emmaus, Velázquez's Christ Crucified, El Greco's Christ Carrying the Cross, and Rembrandt's Head of Christ. Collecting all 6 of these masterpieces would supposedly reveal the clues to the Fountain of Youth. From the dawn of humanity to the present day, tales of immortality have existed across cultures. A 9th century Tibetan scroll records that some protectors of the path guard the secret of the Fountain of Youth at any cost. While the legend's credibility might be low, every legend likely holds some kernel of truth worth investigating. If one could truly uncover the secret of the Fountain of Youth, they would undoubtedly become a figure immortalized in history. Treasure hunter Luke sought fame, while billionaire Owen sought immortality, leading them to form a partnership. Over the years, Owen had already acquired 3 of the paintings at great expense. Luke had just secured another painting, El Greco's Christ Carrying the Cross, in Thailand when local gangs targeted him. Surrounded, he slammed on the brakes. As the pursuers reacted, he immediately sped away on his electric scooter in the opposite direction. The gang members yelled in rage and immediately gave chase. Losing them on main streets proved difficult, so Luke weaved through a dense market. Yet one motorcycle rider still tailed him closely. Luke demonstrated expert riding skills, fully utilizing the electric scooter's advantages, and successfully shook off the pursuer. But emerging from the market, the gang leader, Kassem, blocked his path with a car. Luke tumbled head over heels before stopping. Kassem tried to exit his vehicle but was blocked by vendors demanding compensation for damages. Seizing the opportunity, Luke quickly grabbed his phone and fled. Kassem, frantic, fired his gun into the air, scattering the vendors, and ordered his men to chase immediately. Luke limped away, pursued by 2 men firing their guns wildly behind him. In the end, Qasim could only watch helplessly as Luke got away. Luke didn't dare stop for a second. He rode his electric scooter straight to the train station, rushed through the waiting hall onto the platform, and leaped onto a departing train. He didn't expect someone to be waiting for him on the train as well. The woman confronting him not only knew his name, but also knew about the painting he carried. She demanded that he hand over the painting, or she and her partner would show no mercy. But Luke stayed calm, even bragging that the monk nearby was his personal bodyguard. As Luke and the woman struggled over the painting, her companion suddenly grabbed Luke in a chokehold. She seized the painting, but neither side realized the gang had tracked them down again. Luke locked the woman in the train's bathroom, then climbed onto the roof, jumped onto a passing billboard, and escaped the train. Another of the paintings was in the British Museum, where Charlotte worked as a curator. Using a visit under the pretense of catching up with his sister, Luke stole Rembrandt's Head of Christ. Charlotte yelled at her brother, then quickly chased after him, reaching the back door where Luke immediately started the car and explained to his sister he would return the painting later, but they needed to escape now. The alarm had already alerted security, leaving Charlotte no choice but to get into his car. Police cars pursued them relentlessly, and the two sides raced wildly through the streets, but Luke still managed to evade the police chase thanks to his extremely skilled driving. When his sister angrily confronted Luke, he pulled out a spray and incapacitated her. When Charlotte woke up already on a roadside bench, she immediately returned to the museum she works at. By then, Interpol had already arrived to investigate, but when the security door opened, they were shocked to discover the painting hadn't been stolen at all. Charlotte was completely baffled and found Luke again to demand an explanation for all of this. Both Luke and Charlotte were born into a family of adventurers, with Charlotte being an expert deeply knowledgeable in history. Luke's goal wasn't just to steal famous paintings, he also wanted to recruit his sister to help search for the legendary Fountain of Youth, with all equipment and expenses covered by the super-rich Owen. Charlotte initially refused, not believing in the Fountain of Youth, but born into an adventurous family, her drive to explore the unknown far exceeded that of ordinary people. Added to Owen's substantial financial offer, she chose to stay. They now possessed all 5 paintings, each bearing a lettermark made with transparent dye on the back. These letters were DKCIE, but the meaning remained unclear to them. Perhaps only combining all 6 would reveal the secret. With Owen's financial backing, they also located the final painting sunk in the Atlantic. Although the woman from before tried to snatch it again, Luke ultimately secured the painting without major incident. Patrick attempted to match and combine the letters, finally arriving at Wicked Bible. Just as they obtained this new lead, Interpol agents stormed in and took control of them. Not only that, but the Thai gang also arrived with their men, and several Interpol officers were subdued as well. Luke lied, claiming the paintings were fakes and the real ones were hidden, demanding his 4 companions be released first if they wanted them, to which Qasim agreed. As soon as they left, Luke suddenly turned the tables. Interpol seized the chance to engage the gang members in a firefight, while Luke escaped amidst the chaos. They then departed on a private jet, with Charlotte bringing her son Thomas along out of concern for his safety. They arrived in Austria, where the Wicked Bible was housed in the Austrian National Library. Owen funded the library, and the director warmly received Luke's group. Owen waited with Thomas in a restaurant, both feeling awkward due to their reserved natures.
Do you want a drink? Or do you want a drink?
No, I'm fine for the moment, thank you.
I hear you're some sort of musical prodigy.
That's what I'm told.
I get the feeling you're not one for small talk.
I get a similar feeling. My mother said you're rich. Do you mind if I pry?
The floor is yours.
How rich are you?
Embarrassingly rich.
Does it start with a B?
Yes, it does.
Do you have a boat?
Yes, I do.
How big?
120 meters.
Do you have a plane?
You were just on my plane, and I have...
Impressive.
Not necessarily. There are planes, and then there are planes.
You were on the baby one.
Now, it's my turn.
One moment. You did say the floor was mine.
Uh-huh.
Are you satisfied?
Of course not. Did you set me up?
Meanwhile, Luke's group followed the director into the private, non-public archives. But as soon as they entered, Esme, who had fought Luke for the paintings several times, caught up again. Patrick, who was keeping watch outside, quickly alerted them through voice message. They immediately knocked out the curator and escaped with the Wicked Bible through the sewer.
There's absolutely no reason to be scared.
After stealing the Wicked Bible, they overlaid the letters from the paintings onto a map using the indicated sequence. The 6 locations corresponded to the 7 wonders of the world, with the extra point at the Egyptian pyramids, strongly suggesting the secret of the Fountain of Youth lay there. They immediately flew to Egypt overnight. To ensure they could successfully find the Fountain of Youth, Owen again spent money to hire a team of mercenaries. Using highly sensitive muon imaging technology, they detected an undiscovered chamber beneath the pyramid, untouched since ancient times. Owen hired a professor and reserved the entire site, leading the team into the pyramid, while the mercenaries stood guard outside. The professor led them deep into the king's chamber, after which Owen ordered several accompanying mercenaries to break through a stone door using tools. Although the professor strongly objected, Owen, running out of time, could no longer wait, and Luke and the others couldn't stop him either. The passage to the underground chamber was soon opened, and they proceeded slowly downward. They soon reached a stone chamber. Detectors indicated another chamber below, but a massive boulder blocked the way, requiring them to move it to descend. Meanwhile, Interpol also tracked them down to this location. The mercenaries naturally prevented their entry. Their sophisticated weaponry was easily a match for a small army, and they initiated an attack before Interpol could even get close. Inside the chamber, Luke and the others tried to move the boulder, but even straining with all their strength, it wouldn't budge an inch. Owen instructed them to chip away at it slowly, but it was made of basalt. Breaking through would take over a week, and using explosives risked causing a collapse. Just as everyone was at a loss, Thomas discovered the solution. As he tapped rhythmically, the entire chamber began to tremble slightly, and the massive stone miraculously floated up and started to slowly rotate. With just a gentle push, the boulder floated aside, and the ground beneath it started to descend gradually. Owen told several of the mercenaries to stay behind and block anyone from following, then went down with Luke and the others in an ancient elevator. Meanwhile, the battle outside was nearing its end. Mercenaries and Interpol agents engaged in fierce combat. Patrick and Deb attempted to intervene, and immediately Esme arrived to join the fight. All the mercenaries outside were wiped out, and Luke's group successfully reached the deepest level. They walked along a passageway. When the group reached the end, they discovered an incredibly vast subterranean world. Luke spotted a spherical object nearby and pressed it forcefully, causing a skylight to open high above. As light streamed in, the underground world gradually revealed its true form. Steps led downward into the earth, and they followed them down. When they reached the central opening, another change occurred. The floor beneath their feet expanded outward, revealing another staircase descending further. When they reached the bottom, they saw only a small, unremarkable pool of water in the center. Suddenly, Owen's demeanor changed. He ordered Luke to test if this was the legendary Fountain of Youth. Owen's sudden change left Luke stunned, but Charlotte was the first to realize the truth. Owen didn't have any terminal illness. He had merely used the siblings to find the Fountain of Youth for him. Now, with the Fountain of Youth before them, they only needed a test subject to verify its authenticity. Luke naturally refused, but Owen immediately shot him in the arm. With no other option, Luke could only cautiously approach the spring water. The moment his hand touched it, more water suddenly surged around him. Owen felt a surge of joy, but the next moment, a drop of Luke's blood fell into the water, causing it to strangely float up and swirl around him, and then something even more bizarre happened. Luke scooped up some water. Just as he was about to drink it, he saw his sister aging rapidly right before his eyes in the water's reflection, shocking him profoundly. He looked back towards his sister's actual location, but she appeared completely unchanged in reality. At that moment, he understood. This was indeed the Fountain of Youth, and drinking it would grant eternal youth, but at the cost of a loved one's life force. Thinking this, Luke kept his composure and resisted the allure of the Fountain of Youth. The wound on his arm healed rapidly after being immersed in the Fountain of Youth water. Owen saw this and was instantly overjoyed, then fired several more shots at Luke. Not only did Luke not die, but his injuries instantly healed. Once these strange phenomena subsided, Owen eagerly stepped into the Fountain of Youth. He was cautious, mimicking Luke by letting a drop of his own blood fall into the water. The water swirled around him just the same. When Owen scooped up water, he saw his own aged reflection within it. This signified he had no relative to pay the price, meaning the cost would fall solely on himself. Yet the secret to immortality was right before him. Unwilling to give up no matter what, after a moment's hesitation, he chose to drink the water. He then felt his body surge with power. Yet in the very next instant, his body began to age at an alarming rate. Owen was struck by 5 thunderous bolts within the spring waters, and the entire underground world began to collapse inwards. Luke quickly grabbed his sister and nephew to escape, leaving Owen alone in the Fountain of Youth to enjoy his ageless time. In the final moments before the chamber sealed shut, Luke's group managed to escape. Only now did Luke understand that Esme, who had constantly tried to stop them, was one of the protectors of the path, guarding the secret of the Fountain of Youth. Luke was also one of the very few capable of resisting the temptation of the Fountain of Youth. The movie ends here. See you next time.